application, HYP LLC, doing business as Pagu, Tracy Chang, manager, is applying to transfer the all-alcoholic beverages restaurant license held by the Western Front Incorporated, Jeffrey Gilmore, manager, at 343 Western Ave. Applicant is also applying for a change of location from 343 Western Ave to 310 Mass Ave. Applicant is seeking hours of operation from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sunday through Wednesday, and 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Thursday through Saturday, with a seating capacity of 172 inside and 64 seasonal patio seats. Applicant is also applying for an entertainment license to include music playing below, at, or above conversation level and 1 TV.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. For the record, my name is James Rafferty. I'm an attorney with offices at 675 Massachusetts Avenue in Cambridge. I'm here this evening representing the applicant, HYP LLC, doing business as Pagu. Seated to my immediate left is Tracy Chang, C-H-A-N-G. Ms. Chang is the principal of the LLC and the proposed manager of the establishment. And seated to Ms. Chang's left is a gentleman who may hold the distinction as being the longest-serving licensee in the city of Cambridge, Marvin Gilmore of Mount Vernon Street. Mount Vernon Street has began his career as a license holder at the corner of Western Ave and Harvard Street in the Candlelight Lounge in the 1950s. Probably even Chief Reardon would remember those days. In 1968, Mr. Gilmore took over and acquired the western front of the corner of Putnam Ave and Western Avenue. And for more than 45 years, he operated a very eclectic, diverse nightclub in the heart of the Cambridgeport Riverside neighborhood. Last year, Mr. Gilmore decided it was time to seek a career change, so he closed the Western Front, and he went about trying to find an appropriate candidate to transfer this license to. The Commission was good enough to grant inactive status to the license. It allowed Mr. Gilmore a chance to look around at opportunities. And what occurred here is that he eventually met Ms. Chang. Ms. Chang, seated here, has acquired the rights to occupy the new building being constructed by Forest City at 300 Massachusetts Avenue. It's right next to the corner of Blanche Street and Mass Avenue, 1 block in front of the Star Market and the hotel. And this is a project that's nearing completion, is expected to be occupied as new headquarters for Takeda Oncology. There was a lot of public attention focused on this site. There was some rezoning associated with it, as well as special permits. And one of the key components that the city planning agencies focused on was to create active ground floor uses at this location. In particular, the corner of Blanche and Mass Ave was conceived as a place that would be very welcoming and inviting, and have the opportunity to transform Blanche Street into more of a shared street, akin to Winthrop Street or Palmer Street in Harvard Square. And that's actually what's occurring as part of the development of the building. And Ms. Chang competed with a number of other restaurateurs to occupy this space, and she succeeded in convincing Forest City that she had the right expertise and background and training to produce a very exciting opportunity and venture at this location. Ms. Chang herself is a graduate of one of the area's most elite academic institutions, the Boston College. In addition, she has been working in the restaurant industry since she left college. But she has really distinguished herself in the last few years in the culinary world as a chef in some of the leading restaurants in Boston, and has worked and trained in Europe as well. She brings a high level of energy and enthusiasm to this project. This stretch of Mass Ave, as I'm sure the commissioners know, has been somewhat undistinguished for the last few years. It was the stretch between Central Square and MIT. But in the last few years, with the most recent opening of the Novartis campus this week, with the completion of this building at 300 Mass Ave, with the other restaurant and uses along this stretch, this really has a great opportunity to transform the entire surrounding area. So it's a great opportunity for the city and Ms. Chang to really introduce something really unique Her concept, she can share with you, involves essentially being open from 7 in the morning till well into the evening. She intends to operate as a cafe, breakfast oriented in the morning, serving lunch as well, and then the evening dining space. The application calls for a capacity of 172 seats inside. There's also outside seating on a patio that's totally enclosed on private property. But the concept and the thinking behind the restaurant itself is very focused on the innovation and technology uses that are in the area. A lot of focus, if you look at the floor plan, on communal style tables where people can have collaborative spaces, opportunities for private dining, a high level of flexibility, but really a place that will be active really throughout the life of the day. And it's a section of the city that really mirrors a lot of neighborhoods in Cambridge. It starts off somewhat quiet. In the morning, there's a arrival of workers and workforce in University Park and the surrounding buildings. There's activity at that time. The lunch demand exists in that area, and she'll be servicing that. And then in the evening is when the most significant draw will occur. Under the terms of her lease with Forest City, she has access, or her customers will have access to the Forest City Garage on Green Street, which is just behind the building, and she intends to explore opportunities to perhaps seek approval for a valet parking operation with the traffic department, depending on how demand exists. But given its proximity to the hotel and the high level foot traffic in the area, the expectation here is that the customer base itself will be local, regional, and some as local as the hotel next door or the employees in the building above or across the street. We have reached out to a number of our others and discussed this concept with them. We're not aware of any objections, and as I said, for Mr. Gilmore, it's particularly fitting. He wanted to be here tonight because he feels strongly that seeing this license being transferred to a new generation, someone who embodies his entrepreneurial spirit, some 70 years after he began in the business. And he talked to me at length about, with all due respect, not wanting to see a chain or a national operator simply come in and get the license. So there's been I wouldn't call it a courtship, but over the last few months as they've gotten to know each other and understood their objectives. So I know Mr. Gilmore just wanted to say a few words about Ms. Chang and also about why he selected her for this license. You want to just tell the board?
I'm proud to be here. I have tears to close the doors of the Western Front over the 50 years, but I'm proud that she's a minority and a female at that. To see what's going on, as you know, she's the Legion of Honor from France in World War II, one of the few survivors still living today. And I'm there, my new book just came out, and I just wanted to be here to say to all of you, thank you for finding a new home for the Western Front, so to speak, and I'm so proud to see a minority, a woman to take over my license, which has lived all these years. So, as I'm saying, I'm just so proud. I'm a little bit in tears from having, served this community, this city of Cambridge, with the fire department, with the police department, and the gyms that are come and gone, and still to be here at 91 years, it makes me feel very good about it, and very proud to have a female, because we don't have women of this quality to be in the city do what she is doing. I'm very proud to see the legacy that's passing on to it. That's why I'm here today, to say thank you, and I'll work with you and the city, because a lot of things I have to learn about, which I had to learn when I first got started in the business. But as you know, I'm still working, even at 91 years.
Well, thank you very much for coming. Did you have something else?
No, I want to thank all of you for being here, to be alive, to be here in the city, and thank you, police chief, and of course the fire chief, but they always look out for me. So for 50, I've survived all the city and all the rights to do on what you do, always the right thing. That's what they're here for. And I certainly allowed some of my life to help you along the way. So thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gilmore.
Ms. Chang, did you have something you wanted to say, or could you speak a little about your experience?
Yes. I grew up in the Boston area, and I studied at Boston College locally, studied finance and bit of marketing. But what I was always passionate about was food and community building around food. I found that a lot of my time was spent, studying with friends, but always with food and drink and cheer and community. And so, I focused my studies after college training in Europe in kitchens and understanding really the meaning of hard work and physical labor, but also community building and learning languages and meeting people from around the world. And when I came back to Boston, I wanted to continue doing that. I had a pop-up ramen concept which was focused on private events and public events and some catering. So I got to know the community of Cambridge and Boston, specifically the university community, the tech community, the pharmaceutical community, through these private and public events that we did. And I realized that a bowl of noodles was, what was bringing people together, but a bowl of noodles and a curated food experience where you really bring together people from the community, whether they're technologists or pharmaceuticals or professors or students. Everyone has to eat. And so the opportunity came up to bid for this space, this corner, which I think is the perfect location. It was the first location that I looked at that finally felt right for this intersection of people and people coming from abroad. And so my concept that I had been creating over the years, ever since I wrote in my 5th grade autobiography that I wanted to continue my grandmother's restaurant legacy, I could fulfill it in this space that is more than a restaurant, but it's a heart to bring together the community that is the immediate Cambridge community, but also these visitors coming from Japan that work for Takeda, or these MIT students from all over the world, or folks coming over from Harvard with whom I've done a lot of science and cooking programs with. And so I thought, this is the best opportunity, and this is what I've been working towards. And hearing Marvin's background and meeting him and being able to have this opportunity to be here today and present tonight in front of the board is incredible. And I'm just really excited about this project and having Forest City and Takeda to kind of build this dream and this home together for everyone in the community.
Thanks. Will this be your first restaurant?
Yes, that I own and manage, yes.
Okay. Okay. Have you managed a restaurant before?
I have not been the owner and manager before. My family used to, in the late 80s, they owned Tokyo Restaurant in Cambridge, the Fresh Pond area.
Okay.
My grandmother had owned it. She was a Taiwanese immigrant who had owned it from 88 to 2000.
And did you work there
I
at
was,
some point?
I made Shirley Temples. But I, since graduating, have worked in several restaurants in Boston as well as in Spain. So I worked with a 3-star Michelin chef by the name of Martin Bersategi in San Sebastian, Spain.
Did you get that spelling?
Sounds just like it sounds.
So he's a 3-star chef in San Sebastian, Spain, and he carries the most Michelin stars in Spain, and I learned an incredible amount about business and management, and he exposed me to every facet of the business, and I'm very appreciative of that.
Okay. So have you managed an all-alcohol license before?
No, this was the first time.
And have you done any training for managing an alcohol license, the TIPS training or 21 proof?
I've done the TIPS training before, yes.
I've explained to Ms. Chang that her staff would have to go through the protocol, including herself, with the License Commission's training program, and fully anticipates becoming an active member of CLAB and learning to really integrate her training into the the city's best practices associated with observing and adhering to alcohol regulations.
So one question I had actually is the hours of alcohol service that you're looking for, because I'm not sure we have those. We did get a request, it's obviously not 7 a.m., that you're looking for Sunday through Wednesday, and I guess all week you're looking at 7 a.m. For the hours of operation, but I assume for the alcohol service it'd be different. And we also, along those lines, we had a request from a church on this address asking, from the Union Baptist Church, asking if no alcohol would be served until after 2 p.m. on Sunday at this location. So we would just ask you whether that's something you would consider or not.
I'm aware of the request, but
Okay.
it's not one we can comply with. I'm mindful of the church's location. It's not particularly proximate to the church, and there are several licensed establishments on that side of Mass Avenue that are much more proximate to the church served. But it is a restaurant that will serve breakfast. So in Sunday in particular is an active brunch period of time. So I think the Sunday hours of operation, I assume, would be the state statute allows for service to begin at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. I think that would be, we would want to be able to. The hotel operates, the hotel behind us, Sydney's operates at that time. The other licensed establishments across the street, frankly, would put Ms. Chang at a bit of a competitive disadvantage if she was not able to operate under similar hours.
So the rest of the week?
Yeah.
The rest of the week?
The alcohol service is permitted 8 a.m.
So you plan on serving alcohol at 8 a.m.?
I think that, like most licensees that serve breakfast, there isn't particularly a high demand for it, but if someone were to place an order at that hour, I think the licensee would like the opportunity to serve that patron.
So basically, you're looking for the allowable hours under the city and state regulations to serve alcohol.
Correct, but I know we've had some discussion in the past about whether there'll be an active morning use, and that this is one restaurant that will. It's very much an intention to begin operating at 7 a.m. So there will be, at 8, 9, 10 a.m. there will be patrons in the establishment. If you had an opportunity to review the floor plan, that the way the space is lined up, the middle part of the space is seen more as cafe, a cafe style, and then to the area closest to the patio would be more of what might be considered a more formal dining room. So it almost has three components: an area where you first come in, which is a bit of a lounge area, a middle space that's cafe in the morning and will morph into lunch and continue on into dinner, and then the dining room, which would be focused more on lunch and dinner.
So this obviously is a brand new build-out, and it's going to be a full kitchen operation.
Yes. In fact, and it is. It was a building where this use was anticipated. It was engineered. All the HVAC and mechanical equipment has been designed, or the space has been designed to accommodate what would typically be required. Everything from grease traps and drains to exhaust equipment and the like. This was a very prominent feature in the discussion about how to best activate the ground floor of the building. As I said, the architecture at the corner of Blanche and Mass Ave was the subject of a lot of focus and attention by the planning board and the community development design staff in terms of trying to engage pedestrians and make it a inviting corner. And as I said, Blanche Street today is dominated by loading docks and is not a particularly active pedestrian corridor. This is part of the special permit granted to Forest City for the building. They are redoing with the involvement of DPW and the traffic department, new paving, new, they call them curbless streets, which are essentially a shared street concept where as I said, Winthrop Street is probably the best example. I think the traffic department's thinking is it will still accommodate vehicles. It's one way coming into Mass Ave now. But there's even been discussion about as the character of the street changes, whether further vehicle restrictions would be appropriate. It does handle some loading for the building next door to it at 310 Mass Ave, so that loading will go on, and the loading for this building will occur off that as well. But by midday, that loading is generally concluded.
Is any member of the public here to speak on this issue? No? Further questions?
No questions.
No further questions.
Anything from the executive director?
Paperwork's in order, background is fine, I have the other notifications. It's all good.
Just one other thing, that obviously with the number of personnel, the crowd manager requirement is also necessary.
I'll review that with
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion for HYP LLC, Pagu, Tracy Chang manager, for the transfer of the license from 343 Weston Ave, former Weston Front, to 310 Mass Avenue, for the hours as stipulated and the liquor hours as allowed by the commission, with the stipulations on 21 proof and crowd manager.
Second.
And with the seating and the entertainment license?
I'm sorry, as stated in the application.
Sure. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Well, thank you
We're
very